My name is Catherine Matthews. I'm the Director of Assessment and Research for Everett Public Schools, and today I will be showing you how to create a custom conference report for teachers or families using Performance Matters. I'd like to note that this can be used for more than conference reports. Really, any worksheet or letter that you want to combine data about students from Performance Matters to share with anyone, you could use this strategy. Also, I'm going to be demonstrating this step by step, and you may want to have the video maybe on one side of your computer screen and then follow along and create your own on the other. I find doing is a better way of learning. So feel free to pause this video and open up a Google Chrome browser and then stop the video along the way so that you can catch up with what you are doing as well. All right. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to go to a Chrome browser, and we're going to use Manage Bookmarks and open up Performance Matters Staff. So I've set this up so that you are seeing a view from a principal's standpoint, but everything that I'm going to show you, you can also do if you're a teacher or any other type of user in the system. I'm also impersonating staff members so that you can get a more realistic picture. And so I'm using demo mode, which means that whenever there's a name of a teacher or a student, you'll see hashtag marks, and that is just to protect people's privacy. All right, and then finally, I am using an elementary person for my impersonation. So when we start to look at reports, and that's the first place that we're going to go to Reports, Baseball Card Report. I will only see the folders for students who are in the grade band of the person I'm impersonating. So this is an elementary person. So notice there's no SAT, there's no PSAT, there's no advanced placement. We are only going to see what is available for this person. If you are a high school or middle school administrator, you will see more folders. In fact, any data we have for your students going back as far as kindergarten, those folders will be available for you. All right, so here's our baseball card report, and I am going to be focused on conferences for 4th and 5th graders. You could do your entire school. It's not necessary for you to do a different report for each grade level, but just to focus the data more, I'm going to focus who we're writing this for. So in order to limit the students who are in this file, I'm going to go to a student filter, and on the demographic tab, go to current grade, and I'm just going to select 4th and 5th graders. Again, not necessary for you to do that, but if you do want to filter by grade or by a student's maybe program enrollment, like students with disabilities or limited English proficiency or ML, free and reduced meals, whatever, you can filter. So I'm going to apply that. And I'm also going to add a managed columns. I'm going to add a column to this with the current grade. So here you see the student's name and the current grade. I always think it's good to design with the end in mind. And so in this case, I will want the student's ID number. I'm going to click that. I'm also going to want the student's teacher's name. And since I am impersonating someone, I don't need school of enrollment. I'm going to hit apply here. So now I have student name, current grade, student ID, and their teacher name. All right. At any time in this process, when you create a report, you can always share it with other people, other principals, other teachers. They will only see the students who are securely tied to them. This is a principal, she will see the whole school. If it were a teacher, they would only see their students. If it's a district administrator, they'll see the whole district. All right, I'm going to sort by the student ID number because I want to show you something. Notice that these ID numbers are all the same. And that's because this student is in here 5 times. And that's because I put in a column for teacher, and that teacher, this student has 5 teachers. So that's problematic because I don't want them to have 5 copies of the same report. So what I'm going to do to narrow this down so I get 1 line for each student is I'm going to go back to my student filters, and I'm going to go to geographical, and I'm going to select a course type that I know all elementary students have, which is homeroom elementary. I'm going to click on that. What you're going to notice is that that student is going to go from 5 lines of data to 1 because I've filtered the teacher for homeroom. So here I go. Now here's my student, 1 line of data, and that's the homeroom teacher. Those 4 other teachers were probably specialists, librarians. It could be a number of things. If you are a high school or middle school principal or teacher, you might want to pick English or math, whereas something that all students have. All right. So now the time has come to put in the data that we're going to want to share on this conference worksheet. Now, these are 4th and 5th graders, so I know a couple things about them. They have state assessment results. They have iReady results, and we have some, looks like some early warning indicators. So I'm going to start with last year's state test results, okay? So ELA, math, and none of these students had science because this student is just now in 5th grade, and that's when they take the science test. So I'm going to go to last year, 22-23. Notice that there are 2 folders here, a grade 3 and a grade 4 folder, and then a 3rd folder that says highest score. I'm going to go with highest score, and I want to show you why. Let's open up 3rd grade and put in the achievement level for 3rd grade. And now let's open up 4th grade and put in the achievement level for 4th grade. So do you notice how they're in 2 different columns here? And they're 4th and 5th graders, so they both have data. If I use the highest score for this year, notice all the data is in 1 column. And that will work for me. I don't want 2 different fields. I don't want 2 different columns. So I'm going to take this out. This tells me the achievement level. I also want a scale score. And so that it is more understandable, I'm going to go to additional assessments, and I'm going to pick the SBA index score for ELA for 22-23. I do that because, let me give you an example here, why I do this. All right. So do you see this student here, level 1, 2165, they get a 1.35. That means they're in level 1, 35% of the way through that range of scores in level 1. This student right here is a level 1, 2355, and they're a 1.84. So they are much closer to becoming a 2. They're 84% of the way through the band. So I want both of those scores so that when I talk to parents, I can tell them how close they are. For example, do you see this level 1 student, 2366? Their index score was a 2, and that's probably because they had a 1.99. They're like points away from being, well, 1 point exactly, as a matter of fact. All right, so I want that data in there. Also, I want to put the math scores in. So I'm going to go to 2223. Highest score again, because I want it in one column. I'm going to pick the scale score. Then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to put the index score in. All right. Now notice that this report is getting quite long. I don't want you to worry about that because when we put it in to the conference sheet, you'll be able to see every one of these fields. All right. So another important piece of information for 4th and 5th graders is their iReady results. And I want to share with the parent a couple of things. The first thing I want to share is last year's spring placement. So that tells us where they were last spring. So these are overall scale score. Here's overall placement, spring 22-23. And then I want to share the fall scale score and the fall placement. So here's the scale score for fall, and here's the placement for fall. And then finally, I want the parents to know where they're at in the 2 domains for comprehension of reading. So here's comprehension, literary text, and then there's informational. And I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger so we can see it. I'm going to go to the fall of 23-24, and I'm going to put in not their scale score because parents won't really understand that. I'm going to put in their placement, and then I'm going to go down here and find their placement for informational text. All right. I'm going to close this up, and I'm going to open up math. Let's close that up too. I'm going to open up math. I'm going to do the same thing. So I want the placement last spring, and then the scale score this fall, and the placement this fall. And in math, I actually want all the domains because we're really focusing on math. So I'm going to say numbers and operations placement in 23-24, algebra and algebraic thinking placement in 23-24 fall, and measurement and data, scale score placement in fall, and then finally geometry. All right. So all those are being added to the end here. Now, I realize that this is all great state scores and iReady scores, but I'm realizing that some of my students are multilingual learners. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to manage columns, and I'm going to put in LEP for limited English proficiency. It's sort of an East Coast term. And then I'm going to put in last year's WIDA data. Now, I want to point something out. This WIDA alternate access, this is the test that we give duly qualified students. So they're special ed and ELL. To get the WIDA, we go into additional assessments. Now, you wouldn't know that if I didn't tell you, but one of the ways you can find that out is to go to the search bar and just type in WIDA, and it'll show you all the files that have WIDA data. So I'm going to go to this WIDA, and I want a couple of things. I want the US enrollment date so my teachers understand the context of the scores. Is this somebody who's been here learning language for a long time or a very short amount of time? And then I want their home home language, and I want their native language, and I want their overall comprehension level and their overall level and scale score. Okay. All right, so I'm going to take WIDA out of the search bar. Do not hit reset. It will empty your whole spreadsheet and you have to start over. All right, so any other things that I want to include? All right, I'm going to go to early warning indicators because I also want to include absence events. I might need to talk to parents about that. I think that's all we need. Now, pro tip. It should have a big star on the screen. Pro tip. We're going to go to the share button and we are going to copy this URL. And I'm going to open up a Word document, a blank one, and I'm just going to paste the URL in here. And I'm going to place a note to myself. Baseball card, conferences, grades 4 and 5. And I'm going to set that aside. If I ever want to come back to this exact data, I need this URL. Also, if I wanted to share this with all of my friends, I could click this share button, copy the link, and email it to them. And they would be able to open it, but only see their kids. If I make any changes to this, I need to save a new URL. So let's say I go to manage columns and I say, yeah, I want to know a limited English proficiency, but I also want to know if it's a student with a disability. So now that column shows up. I have changed my report. I need to copy the URL. And now I'm going to put it in my little list. I added SWD. All right. Now I have that. All right. So we have a great report here. And our next step is that we are going to download this as a spreadsheet that we can merge with our conference paper or letter that we're going to make. So we are going to hit the download button. And this is going to go to my download folders. It's also going to just open on my computer here. Notice that it asks for you to enable saving. I'm going to do that right here. And then I'm going to save it. Here's another pro tip. When you save this spreadsheet, so this is my grade 4 and 5 conference spreadsheet. You want to save it in a folder where you're also going to save the letter that you're writing, because the spreadsheet and the letter have to find each other. Okay, so we're going to open up Browse here, and never do this, but I'm going to create this on my desktop. Never, never, never save things on your desktop. It's just that my documents are extensive and it would be really hard for you to see what's happening here. So grade 4 and 5 conference sheets. I have my new folder. I'm going to open the folder and I'm going to save that spreadsheet in there. All right. So again, remember, these are hashtagged out for privacy. This is kind of hard to read because it's just like state test already. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the first row and I'm going to click on wrap text and I'm going to format it so that it's high and in the middle. And then I'm going to make that just a little bit longer. All right. So this heading That is the path. That is all the folders that this data is in. But in reality, this is SBA, ELA level for 2023. And just because I like things to be easy to find and not confusing, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just write ELA, SBA level 2023. This is ELA, SBA score 2023. This is ELA, SBA math. Oh, nope. ELA, SBA index 2023. Now we're in math. (2023) math, SBA level 2023. Now notice that the order of these is different. I have level, scale score index, scale score, level index. It doesn't really matter because you're going to be selecting whichever field you want to go into your worksheet. Now, if this were me, I would take the time to rewrite all of these. But for time's sake, I'm not going to do that. It also will show you the difference between when you rewrite it and when you have the long title in your sheet. All right, save your work. Save your work again because you're paranoid you might lose it. All right, our next step is to open up a new Word document. So I have my my saved URLs here, and I'm going to go ahead and save these. Baseball card URL. Grade 4 and 5 conferences 2023. And I'm going to save them in the same place that I'm saving my my spreadsheet and my letter. So, all right. So we're going to open up a new document. We can close our URL document if you want. All right, so this is going to be your conference page. It's where all the data is going to go. And you can make this as ornate or as simple as you want. It really depends on the audience and your interest. For example, you could add a masthead, a letterhead to this document so that it looks more official. Perhaps you are giving it to parents. And I'm just gonna jump in here and grab our logo. So you can put your letterhead or your logo, whatever you want on your sheet. You can make it ornate. It doesn't have to just be the worksheet. All right, and I mentioned it's always good to think with the end user in mind. So I'm thinking about teachers. I want a teacher to have in front of them a page on every student, very concisely having all of their information. So I'm going to start by writing what I think I want. I want the student's name. Oops. I want their grade. I want their student ID. I want their teacher name in case this piece of paper gets lost. And then I want to know if they are a multilingual learner, if they are in special education, and I want to know their US enrollment, if they are in ML, and their language. So this teacher will be well prepared for this student. And of course, like with any document, you can format this any way you want. I like things tight so I can get lots of information. All right. The next thing is to decide about the fields that you want to put in here. Now, you could just continue this, just a list. Personally, I like things to be really organized, so I'm going to insert a table, and I'm going to say test, subtest, scale score, level for placement. And I see I don't have enough columns, so I'm going to highlight this column and insert one to the right, because I also want an index score place. All right. So I want SBA ELA. I want SBA math. I want iReady spring of 2022. iReady fall 2023. Oh, and these are reading, because remember I have math too. So I'm going to write reading in here. And then I also have those subtests of for reading. So iReady reading 23, and I did reading comprehension lit, and I did reading comprehension informational. I'm just going to copy that here. And then I iReady math spring 2022. And I'm going to make, see, there's 4 domains, I think. So I'm going to do iReady math fall 2023. Sorry about that. 2023. And I'm going to copy that into all these. And then I'm going to write geometry. Operations. And algebra and algebra. Okay. So now comes the mail merge part. So we're going to go. Well, first, I'm going to save what I've done. So I'm going to save it to our folder that we've been working on. Here's our grade 5 folder. And I'm going to call this conference sheet. And I'm going to put an M there because that's the mail merge copy. Okay. All right. So we're going to go to mailings. And we're going to start a mail merge. And it's going to ask what kind of mail merge you want. This is a letter, even if it's not a letter. Anything that is a single sheet of paper, not an envelope, not an email message, it's a letter. All right. And now we are going to select the recipients of this letter. And you can either create a new list or you can use an existing list. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to use that spreadsheet we just created. So I'm grabbing that spreadsheet, going to my file. You can see why it's helpful to have it all in the same place. And there's my spreadsheet. Click on that and hit open. And I want everything. The first column has headers, and I want all the data. All right. So this is the easy part. First, we want the name. So I'm going to go to insert a field, student name. grade, insert a field, current grade. Student ID, teacher name, ML, which is LEP in baseball card, students with disabilities, US enrollment. Remember, US enrollment was really late, so it is right there. US enrollment. You can see why it would be helpful to change the names. These are the ones I changed the names. These are the full names. So it's a little bit harder to make sure you're grabbing the right field. One thing to keep in mind is that, so that's NA for native language. One thing to keep in mind is that you can always make changes and save them and reopen. All right, SBA ELA. So the first is the subtest. We're not going to do that. We're going to do scale score. Score. There's the ELA sales score, the level, the index, math, same thing, score, level, index. And now we have iReady reading spring. So this is spring. And we just did the overall placement for that. For reading for the fall, we did the score, the placement. There's no index, so now we're going to put in the reading complet. We're going to put in, oh, and that was in the wrong column. See, that's my scale score column. We're going to add that here. Reading complet, and that's reading informational. Hit the delete button to get rid of it. It's a learning thing right there. Okay, now we're in math. Now this is a little bit hard to read because we have all these, we have all of our rows and they're starting to get information and those rows are big. So one thing that you can do is highlight the whole page. So we're going to go to, I want to distribute the fields evenly. So we're going to go to the layout under table design over here. And we are going to distribute columns evenly. Except I did not do the entire thing. So distribute columns evenly. All right. So now we have our iReady math. And we're going to go back to our mailing and we're going to update this field. So remember our scale score. So math. We had an overall placement for spring. We'll go to the overall placement for spring. And then for fall, we have all the scores. So we have our scale score, our level, and we don't have an index score. And then we have our subtests for geometry and numbers and operations. And so those are all placements. So I'm just going to go here. See, geometry is first, numbers and operations. And measurement. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so we can see everything. Oh, that's algebra and algebraic thinking. Okay, so I'm going to make these a little bit smaller so that we can see it on one page here. Do you see that all on one page? So We have added all these fields. We're going to save. And now we're going to actually do the mail merge. So we'll go back to mailings. And we're going to click Finish and Merge, Edit Individual Documents. And we want all the records. You can just do one record. You can do specific lines on your spreadsheet, but I'm going to do all records. Give it a second to fill in all that data. All right. So here we have our first student, all of their data. Second student, all of their data. All right, so I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, well, it's a lot of information. It's a tiny bit hard to read, and I totally forgot WIDA. No problem. I'm going to shut the document with students' names. Not going to save it. I'm going to go back here. And the first thing I'm going to do is just highlight my top row, make it a little easier to read. I'm going to highlight it right here. Make it a little easier. First, we'll add in the WIDA scores. So if I go to the bottom cell and I tab, I get a new line. And I'm going to type in WIDA. I'm going to go back to my mailing, insert a field, and then I have their overall scores. And so I'm going to add these in here. And then I also at the top here want to write teacher notes. And I want to give the teacher a space to do that. Maybe I'll just give them a couple of lines here. All right. Save it, merge it again. So then the thing that I'm trying to show you here is just that you can make adjustments to this and then remerge. Right? So there's the WIDA data. There's somebody who had WIDA data. All right. All right, so when you are happy with this, make sure you've saved it. Make sure the spreadsheet and the letter are in the same folder. All right, so now you know how to go from a baseball card report that is customized to the data that you want your teachers to see, or you want to look at yourself, or you would like parents to have copies of, to a spreadsheet of that data, to a conference letter that you can send home or you can give to teachers to use in their conferences. All right. If you need any help with that process, of course, watch the video as often as you want. But you can also call me at 4058. And you see my email address there. You can get to our website using that QR code. So thank you for attending. And please let me know if there are other things that you'd like to see a video on.